Presentation of To the Best of My Knowledge is made possible in part by a grant from the Penn State Alumni Association, connecting alumni to the university and to each other for more than 130 years. On the web at alumni.psu.edu.
From the studios of Penn State Public Broadcasting, this is To the Best of My Knowledge. Good evening, I'm Graham Spanier, the president of Penn State. Tonight we'll be talking about magic. There's Penn and Teller, Copperfield, and David Blaine, three world-famous magicians. Then there are hundreds of lesser-known yet highly skilled professionals who perform at local venues and at popular hotspots nationwide. For many, it begins with a magic trick, a deck of cards, and a childhood dream. We'll talk about the world and lure of magic. We'll also take your calls at 1-800-543-8242. For those listening on the web, email us at this address, response@psu.edu. Tonight's guests are Richard Benninghoff, a professional magician from State College who performs locally several times each week. He also stages many large-scale performances and headlines at popular hotspots such as Vegas and Atlantic City. Welcome. Nice to have you on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And Randy Shine is a 1996 master's degree graduate of Penn State and is now a full-time magician also. Shine is the producer of a magic show performed entirely by black magicians, known as the Heart and Soul of Magic. We'll find out more about that a little later. And thank you, Randy, for being with us on the program tonight as well.
Thank you.
We're going to have some fun tonight, I hope, and show you a little bit of magic as well. Before the program, all three of us in one of our other studios recorded a couple of quick magic tricks, which we're going to look forward to showing you along the way. There might be some magicians on the air with us tonight. We hope you'll give us a call in and tell us about your life as a budding magician or a professional if you are. And for those of you who just love magic or would like to learn more about it, give us all a call as well. You've got three magicians with a little bit of experience here in the studio. Now let's start with you, Richard. You've been doing this probably the longest as a full-time professional.
It'll be 25 years full-time in June of '79. I went into it full-time. That's when I graduated from high school, was accepted to Penn State, and just started doing the magic. And it just was an education in itself.
Well, what sparked your interest initially?
Back in 7th grade, I saw a magician I think you both probably know of, Mark Wilson, world famous at that time, and saw him on TV and got a magic book for that Christmas. And from that magic book, just took it from there. And from 7th grade through 12th, did it all through high school.
Now, Randy, I understand you didn't become interested in magic until you were actually a graduate student at Penn State.
Correct.
Tell us how that interest got sparked and why you're doing that now more than whatever you earned your master's degree in. Because I know we don't have a master's degree in magic here.
That's correct. Well, I got started, what sparked my interest, I was TA in a class, actually, and after class, a student named Brian Fauché was doing some tricks for some other students, and I walked over there just to see why they were making all this noise, and it just astounded me. And I talked to him, say, well, can I learn some of that, and can you teach me? And he was more than open into sharing his knowledge with me, and that's what sparked it for me. Mm-hmm. From there, we formed the Penn State Performing Magicians, and from there, the bug bit me, and you go out, you get a job, and you do the other things, and I really loved what I was doing, but magic is a calling. Mm-hmm. It really is a calling. So.
And you were part of the group, that very first group, when we started the Penn State Performing Magicians. Francis Menotti was the first president of the group, and I understand he now performs full-time. That's his career.
Yes, Francis is an incredible magician. Actually, he is full-time. He actually tours the country performing and lecturing about magic. He has his own one-man show that he's doing. Actually, he's doing it right now in Philadelphia for a 2-week run.
And I've been the advisor of that group for 8 or 9 years, and that's been a lot of fun for me. I did card tricks when I was a kid, but I really didn't get started until magic after I was actually on the faculty at Penn State, starting in 1973, in my first tour of duty at Penn State. And I didn't have children at the time, but I loved kids, and I was in a department, Human Development and Family Studies, where we had these daycare centers, and I would go in and do a Graham the Clown act. And after a while, I got a little bored with the clown act, and I decided I need to branch out, and I started learning magic, and it's been great fun ever since. So let's talk a little bit about the profession of magic. Richard, there are numerous professional magic associations and countless conventions each year. Tell us about the culture of magicians. Do they get together much? What are some of the rules about sharing and learning from each other?
There are different conferences, conventions for magic and magicians, and they're enthusiasts, as you might say. And these conventions take place all over the country. There's one in February which takes place in Columbus, Ohio, Magi Fest. Then there's one in Boston. But a lot of them seem to be going out to Las Vegas and California because a lot of magicians are out there now. So a lot of them are taking place in that area. I do not get to magic conventions. I've been only to about 2 or 3 of them in my lifetime. I'm so far booked ahead, I don't get a chance to take 3 or 4 days off and go to one of these conventions very much. They'll get together, they'll talk, they'll share, swap and watch and everything, but they're a lot of fun.
How about you, Randy? Do you get together with other magicians much?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not a lot, but I do. There's 2 major conventions in the country, the IBM, the International Brotherhood of Magicians, and the SAM, Society of American Magicians. Those are the 2 governing bodies. And then they have chapters throughout the country, actually throughout the world. And those conventions are wonderful. It's an opportunity to meet some of those magicians you admire and you inspire to be. And it's also a time where you can learn new effects, philosophy. You can learn about the business of magic, and you can network with other magicians that can help you get other gigs, as we say, in other parts of the country, lecturing, touring, or performing.
And while I haven't been to any of the really big ones, I've been to a lot of, I guess you'd call them mini conventions, or where magicians in a community get together.
They're a little more down to earth.
Those are the best.
And I think those are the best because the ones I go to, each person gets up and does a magic trick, and that's basically what it consists of. And you can learn some things and share some ideas and see how even magicians who are doing a trick that's very similar, you see how their banter is different, and how their presentation is different, and it makes us all better.
It does.
Now, when you say banter, you mean
what the talking, what
the presentation,
what you're saying while you're in the middle of it.
I wasn't sure because we might use terminology today that our audiences aren't familiar with. You know, if we say an effect, they'll say, "What do you mean? What's an effect?" That piece of magic.
Well, when you say effect, tell us what you do mean.
That would be about the same thing, an effect of magic. And a lot of times I'll use terminology and they'll say, what was that word? What did you mean by that? So we use terminology that maybe mortals don't realize.
Well, we're going to show maybe the first of our magic tricks in a couple of minutes, but let's take a call to begin with. We've had Jim on the line from Williamsport, right, almost from the beginning of the show. So Jim, let's get you on first.
Yes. My hobby is electric trains. I collect Lionel and American Flyer and Eyes. And the A.C. Gilbert Company made what's called the Maisto Magic Set, I think in the 20s and the 30s. And I've talked to several or different magicians, and they still use 1 or 2 of his tricks that he invented these. And I was just curious if the gentleman there with you tonight, do they use any of his tricks?
Well, that's a good question. Does it ring a bell with either of you?
Well, the first thing is I'm familiar. What he is talking about is actually a collector item. There are collectors in magic who collect different apparatuses and memorabilia and things like that. And that Maisto Magic Set is a collector's item. It features various effects that magicians do use today. cups and balls, rope routines, and things like that. So yes, to answer your question, we do use those. We may put our own little twist to it, but we do use those things.
And from those early magic sets, the kinds of things that they featured really form the basis of some of the best things people do today.
Sure.
A lot of magicians think they have to get into something very, very complicated, fancy, expensive apparatus for sawing people in half and making people appear and disappear. But I think most magicians start with good close-up magic with very simple tools. Not a phony deck of cards, a real deck of cards where you're just learning the manipulation and the sleight of hand and the distraction, some coins, sponge balls, cards, things that that we'll show a little bit of during the program.
Sure. Yeah, that phony deck of cards does not help you to educate yourself with furthering magic. It can only make it maybe worse. But yeah, you take the basics out of that Mr. Magic set and you can make it and build on top of that.
Our telephone number is 800-543-8242. If you'd like to get in on this discussion about magic, please feel free to give us a call and we'll be very happy to put you on the air. And by email, our address is response@psu.edu. Well, I mentioned that before the program we each did a little bit of taping of things, and we're going to start by showing you a little 3-card Monte that I did, and we hope you can pick it up on the camera. So watch closely, and what you see is what you get. There's no editing, and let's roll that tape, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Good. Have you ever been on the streets of New York where you see people doing 3-card Monte?
Sure, yeah.
Very dangerous.
I won't do it.
Don't get involved in that, because I'm going to show you could lose a lot of money doing that. I'm going to show you that I have 3 and exactly 3 cards. I'm going to show you what the 3 cards are. First of all, I'm going to show you I have a card with a red diamond on it.
Right.
Okay, now I'm going to put that down on the table right there. I'm going to show you my second card, and it's a card with a red diamond on it. I'm going to put that down right there, and I'm going to show you that I have a card with a blue diamond on it. Okay? Now, when I first saw this trick, the guy said, well, here's what I want you to do. Keep your eye on the blue card. That's the money card. I said, okay, I'll keep my eye on the blue card. And I said, I saw what you just did. You put the blue card on the bottom. He said, you owe me $1. I said, well, wait a minute. If the blue card's not on the bottom, I think the blue card's on the top. He said, you owe me $2. I said, wait a minute. One thing I know for sure, if the blue card's not on the bottom and the blue card's not on the top, the blue card's got to be in the middle. He said, you owe me $3. I said, wait a minute, I'm not sure you got a blue card at all. He said, you owe me $4. I said, wait a minute, if there's a blue card on the bottom, one thing I know for sure is there can't be a blue card on the top. He said, you owe me $5. I said, well, wait a minute, if there's a blue card on the bottom and the blue card on the top, there can't possibly be a blue card in the middle, right? He said, you owe me $6. I said, wait a minute, I think I know how this trick's done. You've got more than 3 cards. He said, 1, 2, 3, now you owe me $7. I said, wait a minute, give me a chance to earn my money back, will you? He said, sure, how about double or nothing? I said, great. He said, okay, I'll show you what I have. I have 1 red card, and I have 1 blue card. Now, you just tell me the color of this card and we'll be even. If not, you'll owe me double the $7 you already owe me. I said, well, that's easy. The cards?
Red.
Well, you would have owed me $14.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's a good one that people like, because like a lot of magic tricks, they're watching what you're doing so closely.
Right on top of it.
You only have the 3 cards. They can examine them afterwards and see that's all you were dealing with. And of course, what we're doing there, what I was doing there, was completely and totally sleight of hand. Several different kinds of sleight of hand, all in once. How important a role does sleight of hand play in the work that you do and the work you observe other magicians doing?
It plays a very important role for me. I consider myself a sleight of hand artist. So therefore, I do not rely on trick decks or any type of apparatus like that. But it's also challenging to do sleight of hand magic, and it's fun in a way for me. The misdirection has to be on point. Your banter has to be on point. Sleight of hand is basically what everyone starts off with the close-up magic. If you really want to be proficient at this craft, You really have to learn the sleight of hand, the different palms. I hope I'm not giving away anything, and concealments and equipments, as we say. That's the foundation of all magic, whether it's close up or stage, because they utilize sleight of hand and stage magic when you card manipulation and things like that.
And Richard, how about for you?
You know, with the close-up magic, you're at a table or you're performing for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people at a time. Everything is all in the hands, but then again, on the other side of it, our secret, my secret is there's a lot of misdirection, distraction with the mouth. In other words, the speaking has a lot to do with it. I don't have to say, quick, look over there, but you might be using your hands or making a comment to use the misdirection to work your distraction in with the act. So yes, the hands is a big part of it, and that's what they're watching. They're watching your hands. It could be the close-up magic or even a stage show. Even on the stage, you're working with ropes and scarves and boxes. Your hands are doing everything, yes.
Let's take a call from Steve, who is on the line from State College. Hi, Steve.
Hello?
Hi, Steve. You're on the air.
Hi, my name is Steve Tipkonik. I'm a local magician here at State College, and I perform mainly sleight of hand close-up with coins and cards and that type of stuff, and I perform on the streets here a lot.
I've seen you perform, Steve.
Oh yeah, thanks. And I just wanted to mention that with conventions and things, there's a lot of fun stuff to go to around there. There are competitions and stuff. I recently won first place at the Magicians Alliance of Eastern States competition. I've been performing for about 4 years. And I just also wanted to mention that we do have a local magic shop here called Magic, Music, and More. And I demo there sometimes and do some of the tricks there. And I just wanted to mention that if anybody wanted to get started, that would be a good place to start.
That's a very good place to start, and that's how I learned a lot of my magic, is just going to a magic shop. And virtually all magic shops, maybe 100% of them, are run by magicians.
Correct.
And so what they're doing is they're showing you the magic, showing you, and if you like the effect, then you buy it. And a lot of the times what you're buying really is the secret of how it's done, as well as the cards or coins or whatever might be involved.
Two things.
Stay on the line with us, Steve. We'll come back to you. Yeah.
Okay. Two things. Number one, street magic is a difficult genre of magic, and I applaud anyone who can do that. The reason being is because when you're performing on the street, you're normally performing for money. If people don't like your show, they don't pay you. If you're good, they're going to pay you. And that's the unique thing. Other forms of magic, kid shows and things like that, you could give a bad show, but, they hired you, they'll pay you. So you really have to be on your P's and Q's. So I applaud you for doing street magic. Second thing, the unique thing about the magic shop here in State College, it has a history, although it's relatively new. John Blake used to work at Tannen's Magic Shop in New York. Tannen's Magic Shop is like
the most famous
magic shop in the world. And John worked there for years, and John is a consummate magician, so he knows magic inside and out. And it's kind of a blessing for State College to have a magic shop owned and run.
It may be the only one in the whole viewing area of this audience.
Yes. So y'all are really lucky to have a shop with that type of staff.
And he brought a piece of New York with him, and he still has connections with New York in the outer world. So that helps a lot too.
Yes.
Steve, how did you get interested in the beginning?
I think it was when I first saw David Blaine's special on TV. That drew me in. And then I started to start off like anybody else would, buying trick decks and stuff off like the internet. And then the local magic shop here came, and then John Blake started to help me learning harder stuff out of books, sleight of hand, that type of stuff. And he got me ready for a competition, and I went there and I won first place, and I've started street magic since then, and you can find me performing on the streets here at State College, and I just love it.
And do people like you doing it? Do you get tips?
Oh yeah, people love it.
What's the most you've ever made in one day?
The most I've ever made in one day? Well, I think I can make about, I'd say around maybe $15 to $30 in about an hour.
That's not
Oh,
bad.
that's
that's
great.
It's not bad.
That's more than we pay our professors. Like Steve's father. Steve, thanks for calling. Glad to have you on the air with us. Our number is 800-543-8242. Give us a call if you'd like to get on the discussion.
By performing on the street like that, you're killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone. You're earning money, you're practicing, and you're relating with the people. So it helps you, prepares you for the future too.
And you're promoting yourself.
Yeah. You're going to be told right away if they don't like it, and if they do like it, you'll know right away also. Just pretty much what Randy said. Yeah.
Let's roll our second tape that we prepared beforehand. Now this is Richard doing 2 tricks. He's going to start by showing something he's doing with some shells, and then a quick card trick. So let's watch Richard Benninghoff display a little magic for us now.
Hi, Whitney. I'm Richard Benninghoff, and a little magic right in front of us. Now this is called sleight of hand magic because it happens right in front of you and inches in front of you. 1 and 2. A 1 and 2. And you'll notice the sleeves are up, so you don't think that there's anything coming out of the sleeves. 2, 3, and 1 more, making 4. I think everybody always enjoyed things being pulled from your ears and your noses and every place else. 4, 3, 2, and 1. 2, 3, and 4. We'll share a little sleight of hand with you now with something maybe a little bit more familiar to you. Pull up your chair if you care to, and look at them. Little seashells right from Pennsylvania's beaches. I'll take them back. They're expensive. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, my sleeves are up, my hands surrounded. You can see everything. And 1, 1. Slowly. A lot of the magic that I do will always be about 30 seconds or less. I believe everybody has attention deficit disorder, so you keep it simple and straight. The best part about the whole thing, 4 little seashells.
And your sleeves were up.
I try to keep them up, and
No
that's
idea
why
how you
my
do it.
sleeves are always so wrinkled, too. So, do you want to try one more?
Sure.
Tell you what, I have cards out of the box, fanned out. Take a card. Don't say it. Think of it.
Okay.
Not the ace of spades. Mine turned up. Put yours back in, facing down. You should have free choice. Absolutely any card. Mine showing. Yours not. You're the only one who should know what it was. What was your card? Say it aloud. Whisper it. Whatever you would like to do.
2 of hearts.
All of mine showing. Yours was the only one opposite in the whole entire deck. You think she's in on it? I'll do it over and over 1,000,000 times.
Oh my gosh.
Have a magical afternoon, Whitney.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you again.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Very, very well done. One of the things the 3 of us were talking about ahead of time is that you were doing a lot of sleight of hand there, and I can't do that particular effect that you did. I've tried it before, and you were saying that one of the things that I did would be difficult for you.
Exactly, sure.
It's probably like athletes. Some are good at certain moves and others are good at other moves. It's not as if any good magician can do any magic trick.
Sure. It's just like anybody, anything else. A painter might choose to paint landscapes or homes or whatever. And then another painter painting flower vases and whatever. Same thing with music. I mean, with every type of job or industry, yes, I could not do the card trick that you would do, and yet it's a balancing act. You know, you're saying, you're thinking, you're performing 3 totally different things. So I think you have to do what you're a little more at ease doing. You don't want to try to do something that you're afraid to do. Sure.
Randy, I want to ask you about something we mentioned in the introduction. There aren't very many African Americans performing magic, and you've produced a whole show, I think, involving African American magicians and around that theme. Could you tell us about that? Why do you think that it's skewed the way it is, and tell us about your show.
Okay, well, the first question, why is it skewed? I think it's just exposure, basically. I know when I was growing up, I've never seen a magician in my life, not at birthday parties, not at mine, and in my friends or anything like that. And so it's just, if you're not exposed to it, if you haven't seen it, there's no interest in it. So that's the first thing. And then the show that, The Heart and Soul of Magic, the show that I produced, it started off as something really small. Because I went to a convention, several conventions, and I didn't see that many African-American magicians there, and I just was curious about that, and I was talking to some magicians, and they mentioned this gentleman named Earl Presto Johnson out in New York, and he is legendary. He's a living legend when it comes to magic, and he taught a lot of magicians out in New York. So I thought it would be interesting to put a show featuring African-American magicians, those who are out there performing, and that's how that came about. And ironically, I just found out that the latest issue of Genie magazine, that's a trade magazine for magicians, they did a feature article on the Heart and Soul of Magic, the one that I produced at George Mason University in February. And so that was the fourth one, and we're planning on doing another one out in Chicago at the end of the summer. Mm-hmm. And so you have magicians from all over the country, literally all over the country. Ice McDonald with bird manipulation, Chris Capehart, who's a famous street magician who lectured up here not too long ago, Hiawatha Johnson, who's a professor of dance and theater at Randolph-Macon College, myself, and a couple other magicians that flew in and out when their schedules allowed them to perform.
Great. Well, good luck with that. And you're a great role model for other black youth coming up. If you're just joining us, this is To the Best of My Knowledge on WPSX TV and WPSU FM. I'm Graham Spanier, president of Penn State, and we're talking about magic tonight. Our guests tonight are Richard Benninghoff, a professional magician based in State College, Pennsylvania, and Randy Shine, a magician from Philadelphia. Randy conceived and produced a sold-out magic show performed entirely by black magicians, as we said, called The Heart and Soul of Magic. If you're interested in getting in on the conversation tonight, give us a call at 1-800-543-8242 or email us at response@psu.edu. And our next caller is Marie, who's calling from Montoursville. Marie, good evening. You're on the air with us.
Good evening. I'm calling to inform the listeners there that there's a magicians convention this Saturday in Harrisburg. It's at the Colonial Park United Church of Christ. I believe it's 5000 Devonshire Road. It's 8 p.m. And I guess one of the reasons I'm calling is because the magician performing there, he's a very well-known Canadian magician from Montreal, Romaine. And he's a close friend of Steve. I believe Steve had called in earlier from Magic Shop. If you want more details and more information.
Well, Marie, it sounds like you have more than just a passing interest in this profession. Tell us how you're involved.
Well, actually, I'm a good friend of and fan club president of Romaine. I've known him, I guess, the better part of 25 years. We did a lot of skiing a good 25 years ago together in Vermont, and that's how I met him.
Now, what does it mean to be involved in a magician's fan club? Because I don't actually have one. I don't know about
I have two members in mine, my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Marie, tell us more about it.
The fan club?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you want more information, you'll have to...
I'll have to join.
Be at the convention.
I'd be at the convention.
We'll have some information there.
And Marie, he's from Montreal?
He's from Montreal.
How often does he perform in the States?
Well, he was down at State College last August, and I believe he performed there, and he also did something in Harrisburg. So I guess he's here probably at least once a year.
Okay.
One of the other things, Marie was telling us about the convention, which would be a great thing even for a beginning magician to go to and get the exposure. The local magic shop that we were talking about earlier brings in people for seminars.
Lectures, yeah.
So magicians do what, you know, what I'm used to academics doing. You bring somebody in the field in who is particularly well noted for their expertise in a certain area, and they give you a seminar, except when a magician gives a seminar, they're basically doing a magic show, but with other magicians in the audience, then they're pausing to tell you how it's done, to show you how it's done, to give you some literature about it so you can practice it. If you need to buy something to help make the trick work, then they would sell that to you as well.
Something comes with an instruction and it doesn't work for you, it might work better doing it a different way. So, and they'll point that out.
In addition to performing, have either of you ever been asked to become instructors, to give lessons or seminars for others?
Yes, yes. Currently in Philadelphia, I teach Magic 101 at the University City Arts League. I do that, and ironically, most of my students are over 40 years old. And I love it. I love it just to sit there and work with individuals who have a real, genuine interest in magic. Also, I spent some time in South Africa, and they have this institution called the College of Magic. It's not a university as we know it. It's more like a community organization where they teach children and adult magic. And I was there for a year, and they asked me to be a visiting professor, quote unquote, while I was there, and I really enjoyed that. I really do enjoy
Wow, that's an education in itself.
And Richard, how about you? What,
every week, every day when I'm doing shows, probably at least twice a week, I'll get asked, do I teach? Do I sit down and show and tell? And I really don't have time for that. And it's so funny because this past week in Manhattan, somebody had said, they looked at my business card and they said, well, I doubt you learned this at Penn State because I don't think they have any Penn State courses on magic. And, you know, it really gets you to thinking, wow, that's an idea. Now, what would happen if somebody did come to you and they said, hey, let's start teaching magic? Because I think there are other colleges and universities doing Magic 101.
Muhlenberg University.
Now, what would happen if, is that a possibility?
That's
or
why
no?
we have the club. Here it's a student organization, and we encourage people to go and learn from the other students, and we do it that way as an extracurricular
and you know,
activity.
it's funny because I will not, I guess, teach people the magic, because the magic I'm doing, yeah, some of it's different, some of it's the same as other magicians, but I'm going to say 75% of it isn't just the magic and the performing, but it's the presentation, the personality. You have to learn that, and that's probably the hardest part, because with every audience, you have to have a different presentation or a different personality, whether it be a high school doing a drug and alcohol awareness routine, or a birthday party, or a corporate event. And it's hard to teach that. You can teach, a card trick, but then you have to be able to do that 3 different ways for 3 different types of audiences. And that's the hard part.
Right. Well, one thing about magic, it's much broader than what people initially perceive it to be.
Yeah.
You could be a performer, you could be a writer, you could be a collector, you could be a lecturer, you could be a historian. There's so many different avenues within magic that people make their career out of, but it all falls under the realm of magic. I know some people who that's all they do is collect magic memorabilia. I know some people who just write and critique about magic. Nothing else. You ask them to perform, they say, no, I'm not a performer. I'm just an enthusiast. I love this. I like to write about it from a historical perspective or from a philosophical perspective and things like that. So it's a lot.
I have people that come up to me who, are doctors and lawyers who say they do magic, but they don't perform for anybody.
Right.
They just do it because it really helps them just to sit down, unwind, or maybe if they're at a party, they'll perform for 1 or 2 people, but they don't really go out and do performing per se.
Right.
So, and that's interesting.
What are your best and worst kind of audiences? There are certain kinds of audiences that can be tough, like kids of a certain age can be almost impossible. In my opinion, the best audience is other magicians, because they really want to appreciate what you're doing.
Sure.
How is it for you two?
I don't have a worst audience. I have learned to enjoy every type of show or every type of person and age and whatever. From the toddlers at a preschool to an elementary school to the middle school to the high school. Now the high schools are the hardest because they're not kids and they're not adults. So you really have to see and how you're going to present this, depending on what part of the country that you're in or part of the state too. But then I'm in a lot of old folks' homes or again a lot of corporate things where they're not there to joke around and they're there to learn and you have to present the magic in such a way that you're selling a product and also entertaining them.
Yeah.
So I guess
part of being a good magician is
you have to be able to
scoping
be
out
an
the
actor.
audience
Exactly.
and being able to adapt what you're doing.
Right.
Sometimes you have a difficult person in the audience and you've got to conquer getting over them, grabbing your hands, or yelling out. They know how that's done. They want to be the focus of the show.
I thoroughly enjoy every audience, every single one. I love them.
I agree with you. However, there's one particular group that is a challenge.
I'm interested in hearing this.
Individuals who are intoxicated.
But do you get a choice? Do you? I mean, like I don't do lounges or clubs, so I don't get really any of that. I don't get, if I choose not to be around a cigarette smoker, I don't have to be.
Right.
If I don't want to perform for a drunken audience, I don't have to.
Well, sometimes you don't get a choice. If you're hired to do a cocktail party, which I have, and you know, there's a few people there who had one too many.
Oh, all right.
And they like to be the center of attention. So you really don't have a choice with that.
But you have to play up to that. You have to be able to.
Like I said, it's a challenge.
Yep.
It's not that I don't like that. It's a challenge. Like you said, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
Keith from State College, nice to have you on the show. Good evening, Keith.
Well, thank you. Richard may have just answered my question, but I'll ask it in a different way. There's a venue called the Magic Castle, which I believe has one or two different locations around the country. Why would not Magic Castle do well here in State College? And if there were to be a venue like that, do you think it could be open not just for our major population, which is the college students, but also designed in such a way that families might be able to be involved as well?
Okay, all right.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah, sure, that's a great question.
We have audiences, potential audiences here in
everywhere,
State College and really anywhere, but the question is, can it be viable? Can you make a go of it? And you know, you need to have...
I have my opinion, but Randy, go ahead.
Well, the Magic Castle, it's only one of them here in the United States, and right now, just this week I was talking to someone who's performing over there. They're having some trouble right now in terms of ownership and things like that. Will it work? I believe anything can work anywhere. You're just going to have to make it work. You're going to have to push it. You're going to have to promote it. I believe it will work, particularly since the magic shop down here, I could have never imagined that a magic shop could be viable here. But it's
State
working.
College is a performing arts town.
So I really believe that a magic castle or something similar to that can work here in State College. You have families. It has a dining experience, and people who are looking for things to do on the weekends besides going to the bars. It will work here if someone who's willing to invest.
But at the same time, New York City tried one of these called the Magic Townhouse. And it did not work. It did not last. Now, maybe because of the prices, I have no idea. Why would it not work in a major city like that?
Now, what you often do, Richard, is perform magic, but in restaurants while people are dining. They came there mostly to eat, perhaps because they knew you'd be there on a certain night.
3 local restaurants right now, and Prospectors, Damon's, and the Milheim Hotel. And each of them is once a week, and the hotel is once a month. Again, it's just perfect because it's different, it's unique. But yeah, a magic castle or a magic townhouse here in State College, I think it would go over. I always had a dream of opening something like that up.
Now, New York has something similar. Just take out the restaurant. Yes, just take out the restaurant part of it.
Oh, okay.
And that's Monday Night Magic.
Oh, yeah, in the Village.
In New York.
Sure.
Actually, I performed there. I'm a regular there, which works out. It's the longest magic
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
in New York City.
But there's no dinner theater. There's
no dinner theater.
Okay.
That's the only thing. But
Okay.
magic every Monday.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
Monday.
Well, I want to thank Keith for his call. Anyone else who would like to get in on this discussion, please give us a call at 1-800-543-8242. But first, we're going to run the tape we did before of Randy doing some routines with some sponge balls and also a card trick. Let's run that one right now. I think you'll enjoy it.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
My name is Randy. Shout out your name.
I'm Whitney Vass.
Nice to meet you,
Nice to
Whitney.
meet you.
Whitney, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you believe in dreams?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe dreams come true?
Yes.
Do you believe in coincidence?
Yes.
I don't believe in coincidence.
You don't?
I believe in fate and destiny, but however, I do believe in dreams.
Okay.
Let me show you something in terms of believing in dreams. Oh, Whitney, just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Right here. Just remember that card.
Okay.
Don't forget it.
Okay.
May I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay. And based on your response, hopefully that will help me
Okay.
determine your card.
Okay.
When were you born?
February 23rd, 1977.
And what astrological sign is that?
Pisces.
Pisces, Pisces. And what is your favorite color?
Green.
Green, green, green. And are you introvert or extrovert?
I would say extroverted.
I thought so too. So you were born in May.
February.
February, I'm sorry.
That's
That makes
okay.
you a Pisces. And you are, your favorite color is green.
Right.
And you consider yourself an extrovert. That's all the information I need to know
Okay.
to determine your card.
Okay.
But however, I also believe in dreams like you. Now, I know that your card is a 7 of clubs based on the information you told me. Well, like I said, I believe in dreams. And can you please open up that piece of paper and read what it says?
Last night I dreamed that you picked the 7 of clubs.
Yes. And dreams do come true.
Wow. That's crazy.
That is crazy. But you know what? Something else. I'll show you something else that's really strange, weird.
Okay.
Can you hold out your hands like this?
Yes.
Well, actually, you don't have to hold out your hands. Do you see that?
Yes.
What is that?
A red ball.
Yes. And do you see this?
Yes.
And what is that?
A red ball.
A red ball. Okay. What are the similarities between the two balls?
They're both red.
And they're both round.
They're both round.
Round. And what are the differences?
One's a little bigger than the other.
Correct. If I take the small ball, we call that ball A, and take the larger ball, ball B, rub my fingers, they switch positions. If I rub them again, they switch back.
Okay.
Now, you possibly didn't see that, so we'll do that with one ball. If I take the larger ball, place it in my left hand, rub my fingers, it vanishes from my left hand and appears in my right hand. Now, this is quite simple to do. Now,
Okay, how do you do this?
I'll give you the choice.
Okay.
The small ball or the larger ball?
Small ball.
The small ball.
Yes.
So I'll take the small ball,
Okay.
and here, you hold on to the larger ball tight. If
Okay.
I rub my fingers, now I have the larger ball and you have the smaller ball.
Right.
If I snap my fingers, now I have the larger ball and you have the smaller ball.
Okay.
But if I wave my hands, my ball vanishes. And if you open up your hand,
Oh my God.
you have both of the balls.
Wow.
It scared me the first time, too.
That is scary.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's great and so easily. And wouldn't it be nice if all of our audiences contained people
Can I hire her?
like her?
Can I hire her? Can she be part of my act?
Oh, she was great. Tell us a little bit more about making a living doing this, Richard. You've been doing it so long now. You're on stage only maybe a couple hours in a day, and the rest of the time you're doing what? Drumming up business, paying bills,
The performing
traveling
is really
here and
only
there?
50% of the time, because you're flying and you're driving, you're marketing, you're advertising, you're doing public relations all the time. And I'm a workaholic. I love to do all of that myself. I have agents in Toronto and Manhattan and Harrisburg, but I'll do 96, 97% of my own work. And that's half the fun, because I always wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to own my own business. I always wanted to do this and that. So it's all, I guess, encompassed into one. I'm the best of 5 worlds. I get to be everything and anything I want to be. A magician, a comedian, a performer, and yet at the same time an executive, quote unquote, or whatever.
But from a business standpoint, how would somebody get started?
Oh my gosh.
How do they go about getting
saying,
corporate business in the beginning? And
it just, I don't even know if I have an answer for that. Or maybe I don't want to share it. No, I guess the more you work, the more you work. It just starts small and it just snowballs and snowballs. And then, you know, people say, well, how do people find out about you in California and the Bahamas and places like this? And it's like because maybe they saw you in New Jersey or maybe they saw you here in State College, and it just starts, you know, then you build your resume up, and whether it be on paper or video, and then, you know, if you choose to have a website, and there's so many different venues and ways to go. I try to market myself to like everybody in every place, whereas some people might just market themselves to the corporate people, or maybe just to schools, or maybe just to the kids, or something like that. So there's a million and one answers. I don't have one answer. Again, Randy, you know, maybe you can say,
you're,
hey,
you're a little earlier on the business side of the curve. And
yeah.
what are you finding is your best source of business at this point?
Word of mouth and agents.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
But you know what?
Agents.
Who are you going to depend on most there? Yourself or the agent?
Myself.
That's the best answer.
And the thing is, and Richard said it, there's no magic formula. There's no set way. This is a business, much like someone opens up a mom and pop store, convenience store. So you have to worry about the finance. You have to worry about your own health insurance. You have to worry about restocking your supplies when you run out of supplies, contacts, marketing, promotions.
I want to take an email now. I'll read you part of it. It says, as a professional magician myself, for the past 20 years, I've discovered that the best weapon in my magic arsenal is comedy. How much does comedy figure into your acts? And at what point do you think that an entertainer moves from a magician using comedy to a comedian doing magic tricks? Very interesting question.
Oh, very great question. Great question. I use a ton of comedy. I have people coming up to me all the time from schools and from other venues saying, boy, you're more of a comedian than a magician. But 100% of my show is magic. But they don't realize, yes, I'm using comedy not just to win them over, but also as misdirection, as distraction. You know, I'm at somebody's table in a restaurant performing, you know, I'm sitting down with them doing magic, and I'll just all of a sudden stop and say, are you going to eat the rest of your... And they start laughing, but they don't realize all of a sudden I just misdirected them, not with just words, but they're looking for 1 split second, which gives me 1 split second to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different ways I'm using that comedy, but it's a great way to break the ice. And I see a lot of magicians out there not using any comedy, or it's so canned or patterned, it's so fakey. And I'll just improvise with because maybe you come to a table or a show that they're not in the mood to laugh. You know, then you have to feel that out, and then you are a strictly magician.
Comedy adds texture to your overall performance, so it plays an important role.
And Dan, who sent us this email, also is asking about large-scale magic, something we were talking about a little earlier. We've been focusing during the show a little more on close-up, but you two are being asked increasingly to do large stage magic.
Yes.
And to what extent is it an adaptation of close-up magic versus entirely new things that have to be done for a larger audience?
Yes and no. Yes and no. When someone talks about large-scale magic, that could mean one of two things. It could mean the large illusions which you see, or it can also mean an act that you can do on stage, like what the viewers saw what Richard was doing with the balls vanishing and reappearing in his hand.
The billiard balls.
The billiard balls. That can be done on the stage for thousands of people. I've seen it done. So that is something that can be performed for a small group of people or a large group of people.
You just have to get the bigger...
Get the bigger balls. So the large-scale illusions, it's a wonderful thing. That's my eye candy for me. I like watching it. I like seeing that. And it plays a real important part in the role of magic, because when people think of magicians, they think of sawing someone in half, a lady levitating. Those are those large-scale illusions. And yes, large-scale illusions are incorporated in the heart and soul of magic that are produced, because that's what people expect to see. So we have to meet their expectations, then take them beyond that.
Now, Randy, what type of an audience would you rather perform for? 500 people or 100 people?
It doesn't make a difference for me.
Really?
It really doesn't make a difference to me, because give me a stage and I'll perform.
Okay.
So if it's one person out there, I'm going to perform for that one person.
Yeah, you have to be as enthusiastic with one as you are for 500.
Yes.
Sure,
yes.
sure.
Yes.
I think the smaller group, 100 people, is more personalized, whereas 500 people, it gets more exciting, more electric.
Right,
You know, so that, again, magic is such a contradictory.
Yeah, but there is a difference between the two.
Yeah.
As you know,
Oh, sure.
Because the close-up parlor style of magic is more intimate.
Yeah.
And that's the most, what I find the most baffling, and tell me if you disagree, to the spectators. That's because it's right there in their face.
It's happening to them.
In their hands.
When Whitney thought of a card, she knew she wasn't in on it.
Right.
So, you know, somebody watching us or listening to us, they might think, well, you know, I could do that, and he'll get it wrong. Well, you know, that's fine.
Right.
But, yeah, when it happens to you, it's more magical.
Right.
Whereas when you're on the stage with somebody else, you know, it's a different type of venue.
People, of course, ask us all the time, how did you do that? Please, just teach me that one trick. Tell us about the code that magicians tend to follow and how you deal with that.
You want to shoot for that, or should I shoot for first? Okay. Every day after my shows in these schools, it doesn't matter if they're 7 years old or 17 years old. They'll come up and they'll say, "Please, just show me this one." And I'm not going to say, "No, I'm sorry, I can't show you or teach you or whatever." I will say, you know, you can go to your library. You have magic shops. You can go to your library and learn and read the exact same way I did. If I show you and teach you something right now, it'll go in one ear and out the other. Whereas if you go and learn it for yourself from a library book or a magic book that you might purchase, then it makes you appreciate it more.
Right.
And I know I'm a magician who does things my way. I read one thing in a book and it didn't work for me, so I did it a different way, I guess I'd say. So I can't show them my way.
Now, of course, we have to apologize to our listeners on radio who can't see the videos that we've been doing of some of these tricks. We hope you can listen to the banter a little bit and get a sense of it. We're going to do one more now. It's a coin trick that I did, and again, you have to listen because you might not be able to catch everything that's happening, even if you're watching it. But let's roll that one now. I'm doing a coin trick here. I have 3 coins here, you can see. Now I'm going to show you what they are. We have a Kennedy $50, right? You'll have a chance to examine these later. That's a Mexican centavo and a British halfpenny.
Okay.
But here's all you have to do. Just remember right now that we have a silver and 2 coppers.
Right.
Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the silver out and put it in this hand. Okay? So in this hand we have what?
2 coppers.
No, we have the silver. The 2 coppers are over here. You're just going to have to watch a little more closely. I'll give you another chance. The silver and 2 coppers, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm going to take the silver out and put it over here in this hand.
Okay.
Okay, so in this hand we have what?
The 2 coppers.
No, the silver. The 2 coppers were over here. Okay, now this time I'm going to take the silver out and actually give it to you. You can examine it. So you have the silver in this hand, and there's nothing in this hand.
Right.
And so in this hand we have what?
2 coppers.
No, we actually have 1 copper. So the question is, where's the other copper? Any guesses?
I'm going to guess behind my ear.
No, try again. It's in my pocket.
Wow.
Yes, there it is. Okay, so now we have 2 coppers again, right? Now I'm going to take 1 copper out and give it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a silver, you have a copper, nothing in this hand. In this hand we have what?
1 copper.
No, we have 2 coppers. Okay, now watch. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 1 copper out and put it over here.
Okay.
Okay, now you're probably a little skeptical. It's there.
Okay.
Okay, so in this hand we have what?
1 copper.
No, nothing. Where'd the other copper go?
In your pocket?
Now you're catching on. Now we have 2 coppers again, right? Now I'm going to take 1 of these coppers out and give it to you.
Okay.
So you have a silver, a copper, nothing in this hand. And in this hand we have what?
1 copper.
2 coppers. Okay, here's the last part. We have 2 coppers in this hand. See? Okay, I'm going to take one copper out and put it over here. So in this hand we have what?
1 copper.
Nothing. And in this hand we have what?
2 coppers?
No, a silver.
Wow. I have no idea.
That's one of my favorite tricks.
That was fun. I love doing that. Let's take a quick call from Lynn, who's calling from Duncansville. Lynn, we just have a little time left. You're on the air.
Dr. Spanier, it was fun knowing that you also have another avocation. You did great. Richard, years ago, I'd say 20 years ago, we used to see you at an Italian pizza buffet on 322 called
Village and Pizza.
That's it.
Yes.
And our kids never ate a bit of pizza. They grew up, they're happily nourished, and we loved you. You are so talented.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice to know that you're performing again. We can come and see you. Our kids are all grown up. We'll bring our grandchildren in.
That was a great place to perform.
Our daughter lives in Philadelphia, and she actually has a friend who does magic. He lives in New York, and he was at her wedding and performed magic. So magic is part of our family. Randy, where do you perform in Philadelphia when you do? And I know where you teach. I know where the university is, and I think you're great. You're all terrific, and you kept our interest for.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much for your call. What a great way to end the show with that nice call from Lynn. I feel like we could have gone on all night and just scratched the surface of potential callers out there. A quick reminder to our listeners and viewers, tonight's program will be stored in an electronic archive that can be accessed through WPSU.org. This site also links to online resources on tonight's topic. Thanks to our guests, Randy Shine, a magician based in Philadelphia, and Richard Benninghoff, a professional magician from State College, for being with us tonight. Really appreciate it.
My
it was
pleasure,
a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
We had some fun, and I hope our viewers and listeners did too. We hope you'll join us again on Tuesday, May 25th for our next edition of To the Best of My Knowledge. We'll be talking about bullying. For all of us here at Penn State Public Broadcasting, I'm Graham Spanier. Thanks for joining us, and good night. To the Best of My Knowledge is a production of Penn State Public Broadcasting.
Presentation of To the Best of My Knowledge is made possible in part by a grant from the Penn State Alumni Association, connecting the Penn State family to the university and to each other for more than 130 years. On the web at alumni.psu.edu.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.